Why do tomatoes taste meaty? Why does a tiny splash of soy sauce make a dish taste bigger than the sum of its parts? And what did a scientist discover in a simple bowl of kelp broth that changed the way the world thinks about flavor? There is a taste that isn't sweet, sour, salty, or bitter, yet it shapes almost every comforting, deeply satisfying food we love. It's the flavor that makes a mild broth feel nourishing, that transforms mushrooms into a stand-in for steak, and makes a teaspoon of Parmesan feel like culinary magic. This is umami, the fifth taste. And today, it's quietly reshaping modern cooking. Food journalists have been fascinated by this mysterious taste for years. They've asked why certain foods feel richer, deeper, more complete, even when they're simple. What they're circling around is this: umami isn't just a flavor, it's a system, a network of chemical messages your brain interprets as nourishment and satisfaction. Think of salt, sugar, and acid as the light switches of flavor. Umami is the wiring. Without it, food can be seasoned, but somehow still feel hollow. The modern story of umami begins in 1908. A Japanese chemist, Kikane Ikeda, tasted his wife's kelp broth and sensed a flavor that didn't fit any known category. He evaporated the broth, crystallized the remaining solids, and identified the amino acid glutamate as the source. He named it umami, meaning deliciousness. Japan embraced it instantly. Their cuisine had been speaking that language for centuries, but Western science shrugged. We still believed there were only 4 tastes. It wasn't until the early 2000s that researchers finally identified receptors, T1R1/T1R3, confirming scientifically what Ikeda tasted a century earlier. Biology had finally caught up with the soup. So what actually happens when you taste umami? First, glutamate activates those receptors. Then, nucleotides from mushrooms, meats, aged cheeses amplify that signal dramatically. Alone, glutamate is a gentle hum. Paired with nucleotides, it becomes harmony. Your nervous system interprets this as a sign of protein and nourishment. This is why umami-rich foods feel grounding, even emotional. It also boosts salivation, carries aroma more effectively, and makes flavors linger longer. This lingering sensation is the roundness cooks talk about, the feeling that flavor is echoing in the background. Once home cooks learned the word umami, everything changed. Reduce a sauce? You're concentrating glutamate. Dry mushrooms? You're increasing guanylate. Add tomato paste, Parmesan, soy sauce, miso, anchovies? You're engineering synergy, pairing glutamates with nucleotides to unlock deeper savor. Around the world, cuisines discovered these tricks long before science gave us the vocabulary. Today, chefs and home cooks use them intentionally. A teaspoon of soy sauce. A spoonful of miso added at the end of cooking. The rind of Parmesan simmered in a broth. Each one is a lever that shifts a dish into umami harmony.
Chef, can you elaborate on why you chose
ask,
this specific
why
herb?
do mushrooms make
This herb adds a subtle
vegetarian
depth of
meals
flavor
taste
that enhances
meaty?
the dish's overall
Why does
profile.
miso transform an entire pot? The answer is chemistry. Mushrooms supply guanylate. Miso supplies glutamate. Together, they create the umami synergy our brains interpret as richness and satisfaction. This is why a mushroom ragu can feel as hearty as a beef stew without a gram of meat. Flavor isn't only taste. Texture determines how long flavor lasts and how we perceive it. At Cape Crystal Brands, natural hydrocolloids like xanthan gum, Gargum and pectin stabilize sauces, trap aroma compounds, and slow the release of flavors on the palate. They don't add flavor, they extend it. A creamy soup feels richer. A plant-based sauce feels fuller. Aromas linger longer. It's part physics, part chemistry, and part psychology. Umami communicates, "You found nourishment," which is why certain foods feel comforting at a biological level. Fermentation, from miso to aged cheese, is one of umami's oldest tools. Time breaks down proteins into the very molecules that create savor. Every culture discovered this independently. Japan with miso and soy, Italy with Parmesan, Southeast Asia with fish sauce, England with Worcestershire. Different ingredients, same chemistry, same pleasure. Journalists have become the translators of this revolution, helping the public finally understand what they're tasting. Umami doesn't shout, it whispers, grounding a dish, connecting its parts, and telling your nervous system, this is complete. But if umami is the anchor of flavor, what shapes everything around it? What makes the difference between a dish that resonates and one that falls flat? In the next chapter, we explore the delicate balance that transforms ordinary cooking into something extraordinary. Curious to learn more about how everyday ingredients can change the way you experience food? In my book, The Food Questions America is Asking, I dive deeper into the science behind your favorite flavors. Get your copy today and discover the chemistry that's already happening in your kitchen.